Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Jnana Marg, Hindu Academy, J. Lakhani. I don't know what, is there like a subset for Jnana? Or a nun? Anyways, there's two videos for this. This is going to be the first one because this is 5 years old, and there's another one that's going to be 4 years old. So we'll do this one first. Let's go ahead and give it a shot.
Um, the idea of moksha is said to be achieved in 4 different ways. There are many pathways, but the one that's really hard that people find to understand, the idea of the Gnana Yoga. What is actually Gnana Yoga? How does it work?
Okay. Again, I would say 1 in million will be successful in Raj Yoga. Through meditation, through this severe introspection, you discover your nature as something different from what you think it is. Spirit. This is the Raj Yoga. And I say very bluntly, maybe 1 in a million will succeed. The rest will just sit, close their eyes and go om and daydream. But they are not Now, Gnana Marg, let me say, I would say 1 in 10 million will succeed. It's even more difficult. Because what it tells you is this. It says just using your rational faculties, such sharp rational faculties, that you discern the world for what it is and not what it appears as. Now this is called Gnana Marg. So the Swami Vivekananda's word, he says, don't seek God, see God. What you see in front of you, I say, no, this is just material thing, this can't be God, this can't be God. He said, no, don't seek God, see God. Actually, everything is essentially God. But you say, I can't believe that. This is a lovely example I used to explain how this thing, Gnana Marg, becomes so difficult is this. When we are children, we were given some kind of a puzzle book sometimes. I used this example before.
Before he explains that, seeing God in everything, isn't that not Bhakti Yoga? Or perhaps maybe that is actually Bhakti Yoga is doing everything for God, as in duality. Okay, never mind. So yeah, see God in everything. Okay, yes, actually yes.
And they say, okay, now here's a puzzle. Here is a picture of a drawing room, a sitting room, and there is a cat there somewhere hidden. Can you look for the cat? And all of us go like that, with our little, magnifying glass, look for the cat here, there. We look under the table, look on the sofa, look on top of the TV. Where is that cat? Because they said there's a cat here, hidden here, and you go looking around everywhere, you can't find the cat anywhere. You get frustrated. And then a man will say, oh, hang on. Just forget about looking for the cat in the details of the picture. Look at the whole picture in its totality. See, when you look at the whole picture, you say, my God, I can see the whiskers, I can see the big smiling eyes here and the face. The whole picture is a big cat glaring in my face, looking at me saying, ha ha, smiling at me. Whole picture is a cat. And yet you're looking for the cat in the detail of the picture. So this is exactly what Gnana Marg is saying. This is, I'm telling you truly, if you see reality in its totality, you see what we do is when we see reality, when we see the world, because our mind is kind of already, this is a very philosophic answer, I hope it's not too heavy. When you look at the world, our mind, without us, prompting, it starts classifying things, objects, events, people. I like it, I don't like it, oh, I hate him. We start classifying things, putting into boxes. This happens automatically, instantaneously throughout our life.
I will say, again, for me specifically, that is okay. The biggest problem is using these classifications or identification, as a guru would say, as a weapon of destruction or separation. That becomes the problem. Categorizing thing is perfectly fine, again, and this is my opinion and my way of life, but so long as you use this as a way of being interested in things, like if someone is interested in a sport and you're like, oh, that's really cool, instead of saying, oh, I don't like that sport. Instead of saying, using that as a separate, it's like, oh, he likes that sport, I don't want to know him. I don't want to know that person because he likes that sport. Instead of using it like that and said, oh, that's pretty interesting. I like to learn more about that sport. A way of connecting people. Typically, hobbies are kind of like that.
Within such a lovely thing, because we can make sense of the world, we can discern the world. This is called cognition. Oh, how clever! In fact, the very thing that allows us to understand the reality, the world, gets in our way when you see the bigger picture. This is what Gnana Marg is. It's saying, stop looking for, trying to find ultimate reality in the details. It's okay one way, but the thing is, look at the totality of creation, the whole totality of the world that you see. Experience it in its totality, and forget about all this distinction that you make. Then you will experience Brahman with open eyes. Again, this is, I see in my mentor, this is why I love him. This is what he used to do. You see, with open eyes, see God everywhere. Can you believe that? And this is reality. And actually, the kind of interaction I have with the creation changes dramatically. You see the totality in its whole, not just bits and pieces. This is the grain. You actually see, you embrace the whole of reality in its grandeur, and that becomes an experiential, not just purely belief system. You actually experience that, and the very thing that was allowing us to make sense of the world is getting in the way of making sense of the greater picture, the reality in its totality. That is called Jnana Marg. Very few succeed. But this is meditation with open eyes. You see reality as it is with open eyes, without having to close your eyes and focus on your inner self and all that. You see whole of reality as Brahman. This is called Brahmagnan. Again, a story, this happened with Sri Ramakrishna. When he was a young boy, just walking in the paddy fields with some, kind of puff rice, holding in his hand, a little boy walking, munching the puff rice. He looked up. He saw a kind of a row of herons, white birds, going across the sky with black clouds in the background. Just the beauty of it, and this thing, he went into the tremendous, kind of experience, spiritual experience. The totality became one straight away. So through that little experience, the just birds flying, suddenly his mind moved from a very mundane plane into the higher plane. So this is called Brahmagnan, the highest knowledge the Hindus talk about, Jnana Marg, seeing reality in its totality.
Non-Marg, seeing reality in its totality. Okay, so this, again, the way I interpreted Brahman some time ago, and still in a sense can do in terms of the materialistic world, is that Brahman is the cell, is the smallest possible thing that exists in everything that exists. So if like atoms are essentially in everything, I believe. Atoms, if it exists, it has atoms in it. So if you look at the absolute smallest thing that makes up the atom or the proton, neutron, electron, or whatever it may be, so long as it's in every single thing that exists, that is Brahman. That's the materialistic worldview, how I see that. And to say that we are existence, yes, I can see that, I can accept that. It's straightforward and obvious. Something that I think the Westerner or a materialistic person can see. But then when you start to think of it as, oh, okay, existence, we should start worshiping existence. It's like, no, not necessarily, but we should, in a way, cherish that is existing. I think it's really difficult for them to accept that. Even for myself, to say that we cherish existence. I can see cherishing human beings and animals and all that, but it's hard to say I'm going to cherish this. I do kind of cherish objects too, in the sense that I don't, abuse them too much. Because you have to use money to buy these things. If we break them all the time, it gets really expensive. But yes, I can see that in terms of living things, and even to some degree objects, because people fall in love. Well, I won't say fall in love with their car, but they take care of their car, to take care of their whatever object that may have more meaning to. All right, let's go ahead and get to the second one. I'm going to pause it right here. Okay, so the other non-Marg video was actually in Hindi, so I didn't understand it, so I had to scrap that. The other video that I wanted to react to was actually the first video I reacted to, but somehow they just released it twice, I guess. It's the same thing, it's the exact same video, and they added a little bit extra. So I wanted to add one more thing to this video. It may not be related to non-yoga or Jnana yoga. What does achieving moksha mean? So let's go ahead and find out what does it mean. This will be the last Lakhani video for Jnana yoga. I'm going to move on to another guru, hopefully learn a little bit more about non or Jnana yoga.
What happens at moksha? Because you see, we all like to hang on to our individuality. We all like to be like this and eat our chocolate cake and be born again and again and go on the merry-go-round again and again. We love that. So moksha appears to be kind of, oh dear, we are like a little blob, and there's a big blob called God, and we go pluck and disappear in the God, and there's no individuality left. We merge in God. This sounds terrible. We prefer to have our individuality. So perhaps moksha is such not a good idea. Why should we bother with that? Or getting kind of merged into God and there's no you are left. The answer in the Hindu tradition is very interesting. It says, actually you never had individuality. You are living in a state of waffle. You don't know who you are anyway.
Waffle.
You're kind of mixed up anyway. Moksha in a way, for the first time, gives you you don't lose your individuality, you gain your individuality. And your individuality is, do you know what it is? It is that, God. You discover your God. So it's not a kind of a negative experience where you lose everything, you gain everything, you become charged up. And the moment you experience yourself with the Spirit, you become the prophet of mankind. Because now when you talk about the Spirit, everybody says, wow, good stuff here. I enjoyed that. So you, in a way, do not kind of disappear and kind of become lost. You become very charged up. So moksha is a very exciting, dynamic experience, not a kind of laid back, miserable experience, a very dynamic, very life-giving experience.
I was going to say, it's, I guess, kind of like what he said, but I'll try to refine it to how I would best understand it, is the fact that you don't lose your individuality, you just gain everything that you didn't know about. I think that's a pretty good way to put it. What he was saying earlier did seem a bit kind of like, oh man, I no longer will be myself, but in reality, you were never yourself. Well, if you look at the transactional reality, you are, in a sense, an individual. But in absolute reality, you were never an individual. You were always one with a Brahman. So I guess, again, the phrase that I would say would be, you don't lose your individuality. You gain everything that you were ignorant of. You become aware. I don't want to say awaken, because that sounds corny. But awareness. You've gained all the awareness. You have become aware. You have become aware of who you truly are. That's much better. You won't lose your individuality. You will gain everything that you were not aware of. I think I like that. You will gain everything that you already are. Again, we had this. I think we had this in another video where we have explained it in the comments in a way. But yes, all right. So achieving moksha. I believe there are. I like to say awareness. Is that the right word? You've gained awareness. No, awareness seems too little. You've awakened. Anyways, I'll discover that on my own time. So this is the last video of Lakhani in terms of Jnana or non-yoga. I don't know which guru or swami I'm going to move on to next, but I'm going to be excited to learn hopefully more and more on Jnana, and then we will move on to Raja Yoga being the last one. Alright, if you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.